Good afternoon. I'm Joanne Segrin, the chair of the Board of Openlands, and it is my great honor to welcome you to the 2024 Openlands Luncheon. Openlands is one of the country's oldest and most successful conservation organizations. We have protected some of the region's largest and most ecologically consequential landscapes, led model restoration projects, and created a nationally recognized community forestry program. How many of you are tree keepers in the room? Since our founding in 1963, Openlands has protected over 71,000 acres across the region. We are proud to be an accredited land trust, meeting the highest national standards for excellence and conservation permanence. At Openlands, we understand that people are essential to nature. Our education and policy work empowers residents to learn about and advocate for nature. We serve as a nexus for building coalitions, organizing communities, and collaborating with key stakeholders to ensure thriving land, water, and wildlife. As a result, we've connected thousands of people from every type of community in the region to nature. This important work is done with collaboration and coordination with many. I'd like to ask my fellow board members to all please stand. And I'd like to thank all of you for your ongoing commitment to Openlands, and especially for your passion for nature. I also want to thank our fantastic staff, led by our incredible new president and CEO, Michael Davidson. And you'll be hearing from Mike soon. But thank you for your vision and dedication to Openlands' mission. Today, we are honored to recognize Arnold Randall with our Gerald W. Adelmann Conservation Leadership Award. And we thank you, Arnold, for your transformational leadership to the forest preserves of Cook County. For me and my family, the forest preserves have been a place of bonding, of learning, and of wonder. And I'm sure that we all agree in this room that these preserves are an extraordinary asset to all of our communities. Many previous recipients of the Conservation Leadership Award are here with us today too, and I'd like to ask you all to please stand. So there's some. We are deeply grateful for the support and leadership of our stellar host committee, including co-chairs Gloria Castillo and Steve Koch. And Gloria is here with us today, and you'll hear from her later, so thank you, Gloria. We are also deeply grateful to our sponsors, including our premier sponsor, the Nagani Foundation, and our Emerald sponsor, Kim Duchessois. So thank you. And indeed, thank you to all of our sponsors and donors who have so generously contributed to today's event, demonstrating your commitment to people and to nature. So let's have another round of applause to all of our sponsors and supporters here in the room today. And then finally, we want to recognize the many business and civic leaders, elected officials, organizations, and communities who are here in the room today who make it all possible for us to live with access to nature. We wish we could acknowledge all of you individually for your tireless commitment to creating a healthy and verdant region. Please know that we genuinely appreciate your support and your endorsement of Openlands. Today, we are here to celebrate Conserving Nature for Life, Openlands' tagline and the theme of our luncheon. For me, I think of the years that I spent in nature with my kids, spanning from the early days when they were in the baby backpack, walking through prairie grasses taller than they were, to long hikes and mountain bikes on forest preserve trails, to after dinner walks where we went to the edge of a nearby creek. The sense of wonder we shared brought us all together closer as a family, and it continues to unite my two children, who care deeply about conservation and the role that nature plays in their lives. So now, to set the tone for today's event, I ask you to sit back, take a deep breath, and give us your full attention for just a couple minutes. We invite you to enjoy the sights and sounds of our region's landscapes and reflect on what conserving nature for life means to you. Thank you.
So how about that video? Gorgeous. Did you exhale maybe a little? So we're going to share a lot with you today. We're going to talk about programs, stories, impact, but it's what you felt by immersing yourself in that 2-minute sensory experience. This is our actual offering to you today, the feeling of nature. Good afternoon, Openlands friends and supporters. I am Michael Davidson, President and CEO of one of the country's first organizations to connect people to nature in a metropolitan region. I must thank my board chair, Joanne Segrin, for her dedication, her leadership and support. You know, it's not until you're actually in the driver's seat that you can fully know all that a board of directors does. So thank you, Openlands Board of Directors, and Joanne, you are just the best. Thank you. And as Joanne already said, wow, do we have a program for you. Drew Lanham is here to inspire us like only he can. Our very own Arnold Randall is here to receive the inaugural Gerald W. Adelmann Conservation Leadership Award for delivering on both conservation and good government while running the country's first and largest forest preserves district. But first, yes, applause. But first, the virtuous, calming, healing power of nature. This is what comes to mind for me when I think about conserving nature for life. That 5-word tagline that encapsulates the very purpose of Openlands. I was recently listening to an interview with the writer Martha Beck, in which she's asked about the role of nature in solving human problems, as tensions around the world, in our own country, and even in our minds weigh heavily on all of us. And she wasn't trying to be poetic when she responded to the interviewer's question, and she said the following: when you relax into nature, the power of nature itself has intentions, and it has a design for you, and it will pick you up like a river, and it will take every skill you've learned and every bit of talent that you inherited and your position in life, and it will throw you at the problem. And this is exactly what nature does for many of us. At Openlands, our staff and volunteers have such a reverence for the natural world and have so nurtured a relationship with it that they're able to harness its power to tackle some very difficult problems skillfully. And when you're skillful, you get stuff done, as I've been privileged to witness during my first year as CEO at Openlands. And as I take you all on a trip through our accomplishments this past year at some very beautiful places around the region, I want you to think about that video, those sights and sounds and the feelings they conjure up. Those feelings should be felt by every person in this region every single day, regardless of race, place, or circumstance. And I'm going to start in the Northwest, where we closed on a 1,000-acre parcel, the Tamarack parcel. In McHenry County, with the help of numerous partners, including the Conservation Fund, Illinois Audubon Society, Friends of Hackmatack, and the most committed donors, each pledging a dollar amount meaningful to them, every penny meaningful to us. The Tamarack purchase was the largest conservation acquisition in northeastern Illinois in nearly 30 years. And it's now created the third largest protected area in the region behind Medewan National Tallgrass Prairie and the Palos Preserves system here in Cook County. This huge property of spectacular wetlands and hedgewaters and oak savanna will be transferred over to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to become part of the 11,000-acre Hackmatack National Wildlife Refuge. But unexpectedly, what I find most hopeful about the acquisition isn't on the land per se. It's that in McHenry County, where these huge landscapes are resonating at the highest levels, nature is seen as a driver rather than an obstacle, as evidenced by the recent rebranding of the county's Economic Growth and Tourism Agency to Naturally McHenry County. We cannot underestimate the significance of this kind of culture change. And at the opposite end of the region, and just a few weeks ago, Openlands helped with the financing on a 30-acre parcel of high-quality and rare black oak savanna. Its proud owner, now the local Pembroke Community Development Corporation. Some Pembroke fans in the audience. And I think as many here know, the Pembroke region is as rich in heritage and cultural diversity as it is in biodiversity. So what a privilege, really, what a privilege that Openlands could help close on the core tract of what will become the 60-acre Oaken Reserve. For Openlands, securing landscapes like Tamarack and the Pembroke parcel is now it's a little bit easier because of our newly established Nagani Fund, a revolving-like fund that will help support our land acquisition work across the region. You know, we tend to talk mostly about the outcome of these acquisitions, you know, the ecological value, the human benefits. That's terrific. That certainly makes for a wonderful article in the news. It makes for a great headline. But lest we forget, these are also real estate transactions. Expensive, time-consuming, and often tedious. And the real estate market in our region waits for no one. So we have to move quickly on strategic, high-quality parcels priced for development, or risk losing forever what they have to offer in the way of beauty and environmental benefits. So refreshingly, the Nagani Fund gives us some ability to move nimbly and fast. But acquisition for the sake of acquisition isn't our goal. Openlands is more discerning than that. It's also about the quality of these places. So in partnership with the Wetlands Initiative, we secured a coveted national grant to undertake a restoration project on a section of our region's largest protected landscape and the Metro's southwestern gateway, Medewan National Tallgrass Prairie, the first national tallgrass prairie in the country and a place that Openlands helped make possible. This restoration is the size of 1,000 football fields, making it the largest restoration project in northeastern Illinois. So when the trails go in and the bison are set loose, I promise visitors will scratch their heads when learning that this is the very place that manufactured 1 billion pounds of TNT and over 900 million bombs, shells, and mines during much of the 20th century. So, large landscapes, they are important. You know, we can lose ourselves in a large landscape, and many native species, quite frankly, are designed to need big spaces just to survive. But nature also needs connective tissue. It can't survive in fragments. And in a region of enormous jurisdictional complexity, hundreds and hundreds of units of local government, creating open space connections across multiple municipalities isn't a straightforward proposition. But there is hope up in Lake County on land that was originally slated for the now defunct Route 53 roadway extension. So through the hard work of the Openlands policy team, Sierra Club, and many Lake County partners, including at the highest levels of county government, we secured $1 million in Governor Pritzker's budget, not easy to do, to figure out, however awkwardly, how to bring this miles-long greenway to life. And we are talking about much more than a trail here. This will be massive green infrastructure. Imagine a 12-mile linear area, natural area, the width of a 6-lane highway connecting communities, connecting existing assets like parks and schools, shopping districts and transportation corridors, while also connecting ecosystems. And speaking of connections across communities and even connections across time, interest in the African American Heritage Water Trail continues unabated. This year alone, media as far afield as Midwest Living and National Geographic covered the allure of this 7-mile stretch of the Little Calumet River at Chicago's southern border, where Openlands and People for Community Recovery, local biking group We Keep You Rolling, and others continue to put together a one-of-a-kind placemaking asset that weaves together land and water to elevate the role of the Little Calumet River in the Underground Railroad and in the Great Migration and in the birth of the environmental justice movement, something that today is saving millions of lives around the world. So, Travel Noir, which is a digital media company targeting Black millennials, characterizes the trail as, and I quote here, not just a leisurely paddle through a river. It's an experience that illuminates the intertwined history of African Americans and the landscape of Chicago. So even our most urban places, where most of us live, harbor these incredible natural assets. In preparation for my remarks today, I called up board member Jill Allreed and former board member Nancy Sutherland to ask them about the origin of that Openlands tagline, Conserving Nature for Life. And I naively thought I might get kind of like a science-y response. And they said, no, Mike, it's about people. When the Welfare Council of Metropolitan Chicago founded Openlands in 1963, it was about people. And in a region as populous, developed, and now global as this one, it needs to remain about people. And of course, they're right. So here in the city, weaving nature back into post-industrial urban fabric, where the people are, it takes precision. And so this means our tools to create access tend to be more kind of scalpel than machete. And as a city resident myself, the trees on my block are as important to me as that large landscape on the metro edge. They are my immediate, day-to-day, intimate connection to the natural world. So case in point, on Arbor Day, Openlands planted its 10,000th tree in the Little Village neighborhood on the city's southwest side. And while 10,000 is indeed impressive, I mean, we have an impressive forestry team, we all know it's a drop in the bucket on the region's vast tree canopy. But here's the thing, that Little Village ceremony wasn't about numbers. It was qualitative. It was packed with community leaders and public officials, including our Deputy Mayor of Community Safety, Gary Ann Gatewood, and First Lady Stacey Johnson, who has joined us today. Thank you for coming, First Lady Johnson. As we planted that catalpa tree, the conversation was about how that single tree will help build community, make that corner more beautiful, the neighborhood more livable, and become an antidote to our anxious nervous systems. And don't mess with tree keepers. This month, Openlands brought the popular and always sold out Tree Keepers course to Chicago's largest neighborhood, Austin. Thank you. Some Austin people in the house, where our team of experts are transferring their skills to residents and community leaders. And the best part is that my husband, Christopher, and I get to join First Lady Johnson, an Austin resident, and about 60 others in becoming certified tree keepers ourselves. And so from there, we, the people, we become the eyes and ears of how our government is caring for our public trees. So access to nature is inconsistent in cities. This is not news to anyone in this room, which is why Conserving Nature for Life needs to start early. Kids are nature's best ambassadors. Prominent biologist Thomas Lovejoy famously said, if you take care of birds, you take care of most of the environment problems in the world. So pairing kids with birds along one of the world's major migratory flyways, it's more than just adorable, it's smart. So this year, Openlands put 95 volunteers into 117 classrooms across 35 schools, mostly in Chicago, but also in Lake and McHenry counties for the Birds in My Neighborhood program, which connects kids to nature through the fascinating and important world of birds. So let's face it, urban places drive the market. It's not unusual for Openlands to work on seemingly obscure policy, which then has a ripple effect in the marketplace. We championed state legislation that bans homeowners associations from banning native landscaping, which, believe it or not, is a thing, or it was a thing. In Lake County, we advised on a county ordinance requiring that a portion of trees and shrubs planted at new project sites be true native species. And on Chicago's City Hall-appointed Urban Forestry Advisory Board, Openlands is shaping the future of the city's 4 million trees. So when a law creates a wealth-generating market opportunity that benefits the environment, who loses? Nobody. So I want to wrap up here with a public policy play right now in the collar counties. The forest preserves and conservation districts of northeastern Illinois are unique in the state, and they're unique nationally. Most of us don't even know this. And we are beyond fortunate to have them, because it's these holdings. This is how most of us access large landscapes, through a forest preserve or a conservation district holding. I've got them on my neighborhood, on the northwest side of the city, and when Christopher and I spend time there, we just can't believe we are in one of the largest, densest cities in the country. You know, we hear owls in the woods, we see raptors flying overhead, deer and fox and coyote occasionally peek out at us, and like, what a gift, right here in Chicago. So Openlands has spent the better part of a year working with partners in the collar counties on November ballot initiatives that will provide dollars to sustain these regional gems, north of $700 million over 20 years across the collars when you include Will County's already approved $50 million bond decision from earlier this year, all of it for clean air, clean water, and wildlife. And as we all know, those of us in Cook County, we overwhelmingly supported the Cook County referendum for its Forest Preserve District just a couple years ago, which provides over $900 million over 20 years. And I think this is the change here. I think this is more than open space having a moment. This is our counties responding to market demand. It's no longer accessible to not have access to nature. So I think I've covered maybe 1/50th of what the Openlands team is working on these days. Suffice it to say, it's been a busy first year. When I introduced myself at last year's annual luncheon, I made 2 promises. A smooth transition. Few things are more disruptive to an organization and its impact than a rocky passing of the baton. It's not fair to staff, it's not fair to a board, donors, or the communities that we serve. And because of the respect both Jerry Adelmann and I have for this organization and for all of you, Openlands has not missed a beat. Thank you, Jerry. And I promised to continue the Openlands tradition of innovation, steady leadership, collaboration, and optimism, which seems in short supply in our algorithmic world. And what a shame, because nature is optimistic by definition. We just need to create the causes and conditions for it to thrive. It's us people who need to conserve nature for life. So Openlands is embarking on a new strategy for the first time since 2018, and we'll look to many of you to help us build it. And my promise with any new frontier for Openlands is the same: innovation, steady leadership, collaboration, and optimism. You can count on Openlands. So as I leave the podium, I know you'll clap, and I will feel honored by that, but trust me when I say you are really clapping for the hardest work of optimists, hardest working group of optimists that I know, the Openlands staff. Openlanders, please rise, stand, and be recognized. Thank you, and enjoy the program. We are glad you're here.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can we another round of applause for Mike for his extraordinary leadership in less than a year. Absolutely extraordinary. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alan Bell, and I proudly serve as the vice chair of the Openlands board. As a birder and volunteer for the Birds in My Neighborhood program, I visited many Chicago public school third grade classrooms and introduced young people to the beauty of nature through birds. Therefore, it gives me great pleasure today to introduce Openlands keynote speaker, Dr. J. Drew Lanham. An ornithologist, naturalist, and hunter conservationist, Dr. Lanham has expanded the conservation community through the revelatory reflections on being present in nature. As a professor, poet, and author, his celebrated books include The Home Place, Memoirs of a Colored Man's Love Affair with Nature, and a collection of poetry and meditations called Sparrow Envy, Field Guide to Birds and Lesser Beasts. Dr. Lanham's writings reminds us to bring as much heart to our experience with nature as learning, connecting us to people, place, history, and ourselves. In 2022, he was awarded a MacArthur Fellowship for his work combining conservation science with personal, historical, and cultural narratives of nature. His memoir has won the Reed Environmental Writing Award, the Southern Book Prize, and was a finalist for the Burroughs Medal. Dr. Lanham's work appears in many anthologies and is found abundantly online, in print, and in venues such as Orion, Vanity Fair, Terrain, Places Journal, Slate, NPR, Sierra Magazine, the New York Times, the On Being podcast, and many, many more. I could go on and on and on. But with that, I think you want to hear from Mr. Lanham, and at this time, I would like to welcome him to the stage. So please welcome to the stage Dr. J. Drew Lanham.
Thank you, Alan. Good afternoon, Openlands. Good afternoon, Chicago. Wow, I walked in the room and it was as if I were walking into the midst of some fabulous human murmuration. The voices, the chatter, but all gathered together as birds in a flocking murmuration will do for some unified purpose, even though each bird makes its own move. And so I'd like to share a little bit today with you of your own words. And as I've had the chance to work around the room a little bit before lunch and to meet some old friends, to make new friends, to begin to establish new relationships, I feel as though I have become a member of a new murmurating flock. If, as you say, in the symphony of life, nature is the maestro, then each dawn chorus is a masterpiece played perfectly in wood thrush song, in a tanager's solo, in cardinal duet. If it is as you claim that life is heard in our forests, then I imagine it thrives in the canopies of great-grandmother cottonwood trees that have borne witness to the ancestors and to the ages. These leaf songs are passed on in the teachings of ovenbirds. If life is heard in our prairies, then the sandhill crane's trumpet awakens us to hope on a wider horizon. Bull bisons bellow rumbles, and we feel the tremor in our marrow bones. Perhaps a long-billed curlew's overhead cry reminds us of possibilities to explore, to desire more. If life is heard in our wetlands, it becomes evident as the marsh wren rattles a welcome to the wary watcher. When winter-weary waterfowl spy safe open haven from the skies above, and when the wood frog's urgent calls hearken the eventide's rainfall coming. If life is heard in our cities, we can know it when the peregrine's cackling shriek high above Michigan Avenue puts fear into the hearts of pigeons. But the desire to fly of our own accord causes our own hearts to slow down, inspires us in the moment to pause in the midst of something not really so important and look up to see beyond ourselves. If life is heard in our neighborhoods, it brings us joy when the robin warbles in concert with the laughter of children safely playing, taking breaks to drink clean water and to breathe fresh air. It beckons our eyes to notice the grace notes when the garden bed tended towards nurturing real whole foods fosters milkweed volunteering between the carrots and corn that become way station for migratory monarchs. So yes, I will agree that life is indeed grand in its crescendos, but the volume never deafens our hearing because we ask for more when the screech owl whinnies in the dark, when the chipping sparrow's staccato beats meters our own heart's rhythm. So, these are the delicate melodies, as you say, that play through the seasons. The comings and goings of feathered beings as fall blushes. The bliss of flowers blooming in the welcoming warmth of May. The splendid silence of first snow in a bare-limbed December woodland, and the promise of future prospects held in a white-eyed vireo's summer-woven second nest. Openlands, you claim conservation for health. You claim it for biodiversity, for beauty, for unity, for harmony, for life. I hope that these words, familiar to you, you know as intensively inclusive. They're also an invitation to everyone to nurture nature, not just to nurture it, to wallow in it, to worship in it, to wander through it, to grab hold of it with your heart and never, ever let it go, but being willing to open your hand and watch it fly free. The question in all of this is how? How will we sustain this symphony? What work will be required to make the bad good and good better, and better always better? I think that these orchestrations not only demand a maestro, I believe they represent a critical need and desire that can unify in unique ways. We might see birds or butterflies or beetles as things to adore, or for some, unfortunately, ignore. But we do the latter at our own peril. Even more so at our peril is leaving those behind who do not appreciate. You see, nature isn't an option for our survival, it's a necessity. I find that in my own wild seeking life, no matter what storms may come, literally and figuratively speaking, that a calm washes over me when I'm out seeking other beings that tie the world together with their wings. Seeing a bird to me isn't just about identifying it in some objectifying way. It's about identifying with that bird in a way that makes it a unique individual subject to my affections. I call that love, and it is essential in this work that we do. Connecting the wild with love is a composition for success. The price of admission, our undivided attention. And so I would like to offer a kind of plea, you can call it a prayer if you want, that leans in on our belief that in a greener world, there's a better world. That what's good for birds and bees is also good for us. That the mantra of same air, same water, same earth, same fate ties human and non-human being into an unsolvable knot. O great wild that is in every weed beyond some intended spot, that flies with falcon speed and sings the thrush's hymns. O wild thing that hops, that hovers, that slithers, that skulks and slides, that rises through clouds as mountains peak, and sits low beneath marsh water hidden from view, that stretches to a horizon that lies just below heaven. Please hear our pleas to be a part of you and not separate from you. That we, the alleged knowing ape, understands just how little we actually know of those beyond ourselves, that we are not in our humanness the solution, that it takes all of us to see the inherent and incalculable value of the winged, the feathered, the furred, the finned, and each other, that to live in some harmony of give and take so that we might all receive is our humblest plea. I would ask that the wild things all sing and growl and chirp and call and bellow. Amen. We will pray these prayers to the miracles of migrating wood warblers and the resurrection of bison where they once roamed. They will require no organized religion, no bricks and mortar buildings, only hearts and minds stitched together with caring. Our conservation pleas will demand sacred spaces, some unified knowing that we enact to save will make tomorrow better than today. The beings we work in union to save may have 100 legs or 4 or 2 or none. And you, Openlands Trust, have worked towards that. The special places here, Hackmatack National Wildlife Refuge, Madewin National Tallgrass Prairie, the African American Heritage Water Trail, they are close by but also throughout. These are sacred places where wildlives can flourish, but also where wildlife can help our own flourishing. The birds in our neighborhood expands not just the world of a child by the hemispheric span of a bird's migratory journeys. Can't you see this enlarges all of us when young people are set free to fly and imagine? Our offerings must come in notice, in watching, in listening, in feeling, and in being. All of this culminating in an orchestration of love that leads to respect and protection. The job then, Chicago, Openlands Trust, to all you reach, multiply each of yourselves by at least 2. Keep working with those hand in hand who know the way forward is by including, not excluding. By understanding again that the plight of the heron is also the plight of the human, that a bird's being means something to our being. So please, keep doing the hard work, Openlands Trust. Keep orchestrating, but always remember to be a player in the band. The results in acres cared for can be counted, yes, but in hearts moved, there's no clear math. Just know that the music moves us ever closer to Leopold's state of harmony between people and land, and Rachel Carson's admonition to feel sometimes, and that hopefully we can all dance to nature's offerings, the symphonies all around us. In closing, I like to say that joy is the justice we give ourselves. Nature brings me joy, and that to me is justice. Thank you.
I think the forest preserves as an asset for the region, giving accessibility to people who live in the region, is one of the extraordinary gifts that the people who founded Chicago gave us and has been built on over the years.
I think Arnold was just the right person at the right time for the challenge that the Forest Preserve was facing.
You know, Arnold is a person who brought deep experience to the job. He'd worked in the Park District, he'd worked in planning, and both of those were critical.
He's always open, fair, and more importantly, he looks for the best interest of everybody involved.
He continues to motivate me in a way that is different than any other leader I've worked with.
This year will be my 7th year with the Forest Preserves, and a large reason that I'm with the Forest Preserves for as long as I have been is because of his steady hand and leadership.
So one of the things Arnold did when he got to the Forest Preserves was really some hard work to make it a more transparent and accountable organization. When he arrived, the organization just wasn't transparent and accountable.
Arnold said, let's take a hard look inside at our organization and our organizational culture and see what we can do better.
He had a vision for the preserves, not just where we are, but what we could be.
We started in-house looking at our hiring and making sure that the staff of the Forest Preserve truly reflected the diversity of Cook County so that when our visitors come out, they see people that look like them.
Within the 10 years that I've been there, Not only do we not work in silos anymore, he's encouraged a lot of the leaders as well as even middle management to actually step up and make changes.
One of the hallmarks of Arnold's leadership with Openlands is the spirit of collaboration and partnership. And the place that we're speaking now, Deer Grove, is a poster child for that collaboration.
What's been great about working with Arnold and Bussy Woods is we made a lot of projects coming together to make it a better woods for everyone to enjoy.
He worked with Openlands to create the next century conservation plan. It really creates this vision of where the district wants to go, and it establishes a roadmap of how to get us there. The three biggest goals are protect more land, restore the land to ecological health, and make sure that every single person in Cook County feels truly welcome at the forest preserves.
For a while, I was in charge of recruiting companies and trying to get companies to move to Chicago. And when they thought about the great assets that might attract their employees to move to Chicago, things consistently came up, like our cultural life, our natural environment, the lakefront, parks, forest preserves, the ability of people to access nature easily, to leave the built environment and to get out into open country and to get out and experience nature is incredibly important to the quality of life in an urban area.
The capstone of Arnold's tenure at the Forest Preserves of Cook County was a successful Vote Yes referendum.
It allowed us to go to the voters and say, we have this vision for where we want to go. We have this roadmap to get there, but we simply don't have the resources we need to be fully successful. And voters supported it.
It's fair to say that we were able to pass the referendum, not just because we have this wonderful asset of 70,000 acres of land, but because for a decade, Arnold was able to provide such wonderful leadership.
The best thing working with Arnold was the true partnership that exists. People always see gridlock when they watch news about Washington, D.C. Local governments, Cook County, Elk Grove Village, we don't have that problem because we have people that are in positions to work together to solve problems, not create them. And I gotta tell you, Arnold was a great problem solver.
He's a person that inspired others to work with him.
You have been a strong advocate for nature and recreation, and it's something that now lives within my soul, within my mission, as I continue to follow your lead.
I want to thank you for preserving this incredible asset that the region has, growing it, helping people access it, and most importantly, making it a jewel we can all be proud of.
I can't think of anyone else who has done more to put the Forest Preserve on the right track and to take this amazing asset, the Forest Preserves of Cook County, and to protect them and to really set them on a course for success over the next decades to come.
Arnold, I want to congratulate you for earning the Gerald W. Adelmann Conservation Leadership Award.
Many congratulations.
On behalf of not only Elk Grove Village, but an entire Cook County, and more importantly, from your friend, Mayor Craig Johnson, congratulations on your Conservation Leadership Award.
Good afternoon. This is a wonderful event. My name is Gloria Castillo, co-chair of the annual luncheon. In my work, I engage with many leaders, and I can tell you that Arnold Randall exemplifies the definition of an effective leader. As you saw in the video just now, Arnold led the Forest Preserves of Cook County from an agency that struggled to hold public trust to one that gained the support of a majority of voters to invest in its future. With integrity, self-awareness, courage, respect, compassion, and resilience, he led integral changes to internal processes and management, increasing trust with staff, advocates, and the public. He prioritized the mission, which helped the Forest Preserve increase restoration tenfold and acquire more land. He welcomed residents to the preserves with new programs, partnerships, and policies that made them a place for everyone. This was made all the more important during the pandemic, when the preserves stayed open and saw record attendance. This past spring, Openlands announced it would rename this award in honor of one of the region's boldest and most dedicated conservation leaders, Jerry Adelmann. The award celebrates individuals or organizations that have made extraordinary contributions to nature, reminding us all of the profound impact that dedicated individuals have on our community and planet. Arnold exemplifies good government and innovative leadership at a time when they are essential. On behalf of Openlands and my co-chair, Steve Koch, I'm proud to award Arnold Randall the first Gerald W. Adelmann Conservation Leadership Award. So, when we considered an appropriate award for you, Arnold, we turned to the talented artist, Alice Hargrave, who we're honored to have with us today. In this piece entitled Avian Conversations, she transcribed an avian happening she witnessed, an indigo bunting being chased by song sparrows. The colors she uses are from the birds themselves, using color as advocacy to give a loud and visual voice to birds in peril. It's beautiful, and congratulations, Arnold.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It is a real pleasure to be here with all of you here today at the Openlands Annual Luncheon. And it is definitely one of my favorite events to attend each year. I'm honored and humbled to be the inaugural recipient of the Gerald W. Adelmann Conservation Leadership Award. That's a pretty good, thank you, Gerald. It's named for one of the giants in land conservation, our good friend Jerry Adelmann. Thank you, Jerry, for your leadership, which has been an example for all of us to follow as we continue to protect and enhance the natural world. There are so many people to thank for all their good work, but I want to do my part to keep the program moving and on time, so I'll get right to it. I got a good clap for that one, right? I'm sure that many of you in this room have heard me make this case a few times. Conservation is a team effort. Not one person makes it happen. All of us do together and working together. I'm so grateful to all of you that have made our conservation victories a success and possible. One of the biggest and most recent, of course, is the 2022 referendum, vote yes for clean air, clean water, and wildlife. Nearly 70% of Cook County voters said yes to raising their taxes and secured more than $40 million annually in funding for the forest preserves. This funding goes to acquire and protect more natural open lands, to restore these landscapes and wildlife habitat, and to increase community programming. Nature and people won. However, that victory did not happen overnight, for sure, and it certainly didn't happen without the hard work of many individuals and organizations, many of whom are represented in this room today. The phenomenal team at the Forest Preserves, who I would ask to stand. I see they're here. Please stand, because I want to recognize you as well. Thank you. The coalition of groups who made it possible, including Openlands, Friends of the Forest Preserves, the Nature Conservancy, and so many more who are represented today. When I began my adventure at the preserves back in December of 2010, that's amazing, I didn't think how long ago that was, there were a good number of staff and volunteers at the Forest Preserves who were making the best of a very, very difficult situation. It was also clear that significant changes needed to be made to fully realize our organization's mission. Many members of the community felt unwelcome or even unsafe. We also discovered that many of the policies and practices to manage the land left much to be desired. We spent a lot of time listening, building trust, and that was a lot of work. There was a real lack of trust at the time. And at the same time, making changes to our operations and our planning. We created mechanisms for accountability and stimulated a culture that valued nature and people's role in it. Those changes eventually led to a reinvigorated preserves and a community eager to support them. To the team at the Forest Preserves, I cannot thank you enough for your commitment, your vision, and your hard work. We will forever share the bond of the amazing things that we accomplished together, so we will forever be connected. I am also profoundly grateful to Cook County Board and Forest Preserve Board President Tony Preckwinkle. She is not only a force of nature, if you've met her, she is a force for nature. Her support of our work and her vision for the Forest Preserves seemed at the time a little bit impossible, made them very possible, as did the support of the Forest Preserve Board of Commissioners. It illustrates the importance of good governance and advocacy working together in the conservation equation. And finally, I want to thank you, Michael Davidson, and the team at Openlands. Your impact is felt and seen every day across this region, from the day-to-day and not always so glamorous support of land management and restoration to the policy expertise that makes change possible. The Openlands tagline fits very nicely with my own beliefs. Conserving nature is for life. Protecting nature everywhere, including in our cities, especially in our cities, is vital to our mental and physical well-being. Finding opportunities for people of all ages to connect with nature in a meaningful way is just plain the right thing to do. But it also means that future leaders will hopefully prioritize the protection of these incredible spaces as well. I'm a real-life example of this, which takes me to another important thank you, very important thank you. I'm a lifelong Chicagoan, a city kid who grew up on the south side of the city of Chicago. I've spent a significant portion of my professional life enhancing and protecting open space and nature. For that, I have to thank my parents, Arnold and Yvonne, for getting me and my brother, sometimes dragging us, out to nature, and either on foot or a lot of times on horseback. They let us explore and appreciate its power and understood the responsibility we all share in protecting it. Those lessons are lessons that I carry with me today and I'm sure for the rest of my life. I'm also thankful to the Gaylord and Dorothy Donnelly Foundation, not only for its long-standing support of conservation, but also for giving me the opportunity to embark on my next big adventure. Part of what makes conservation a lifetime occupation is the constant opportunity for learning and discovery, and my time at the foundation has provided me with both. I have been immersed in the arts and cultural narratives and collections, and I've been introduced to a whole new region of the country I'd never been to, the Low Country of South Carolina. Collectively, the work speaks to our humanity, the art that inspires us, the narratives that shape us, and of course, the land that sustains us. Thank you, members of the Gaylord and Dorothy Donnelly Foundation Board and staff who are with us today. Thank you so much. Yes, you can give them a hand. And I look forward to working with you and accomplishing so much more together. It's great to be with all of you nature lovers here today. Again, that's one of the reasons this is my favorite event. We all are here under a common goal and cause. Each one of us plays a critical role in the conservation ecosystem. We advocate, we restore, we conserve, and of course, we enjoy it. I'm so proud to be part of this with all of you, and we are connected by our shared work, commitment, and passion, and I look forward to working together with you in the future. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Martina Keller, and I'm a member of the Openlands Board of Directors and chair of our development committee. First of all, I want to ask, did everyone enjoy their beautiful lunch today? Yeah. First of all, congratulations, Arnold, and thank you for everything that you have done for the Cook County Forest Preserves. This certainly is a great asset to the Chicago area. And Dr. Drew Lanham, your words touched me very, very deeply, and I feel that way every day when I go for a walk in my Tree City, USA, Evanston, Illinois, and you're magical, and I am going to, first thing I do when I go home is I'm going to get all your books. So, and I will read them all because I'm a reader. So the other thing before we get to further business, I just want to thank the whole staff at Openlands and everyone that they enlisted to help. It is no small feat to put together a luncheon like this, so thank you to the staff and everybody on Openlands to put this together. And also, very importantly, thank you to the wait staff of the Hilton. You did a great job. And most importantly, thank all of you so much for joining us here today, and for all of you who contribute to our mission through your time, your expertise, and financial support. You help us take root in communities, protect new landscapes, and restore our land and water. You are an integral part of our mission to conserve nature for life. If you were moved by what you heard today, I hope you'll consider giving to support our mission. From Hackmatack National Wildlife Refuge to the trees on your block or the green schoolyard in your neighborhood, Openlands plays an integral role in our region's health, prosperity, and vitality, but we can't do anything without your support. Up on the screen, I can't see it, I trust it's there, you'll see information on how to give to Openlands today. There is also an envelope in your program, in the luncheon program today. You can simply text text out the word donate to 855-605-6245 to contribute and help us continue connecting people to nature. And then finally, we would like to thank LaSalle Flowers for the lovely floral arrangements. Please feel free to fist fight among yourselves to figure out how you're going to, who gets to bring the arrangement home. And certainly on your way out, don't forget we do have, what's a party without a goodie bag or something to take home. So we do have some Openlands field notes notebooks. This is just a small thank you gift for coming today. So thank you for joining us today and have a wonderful afternoon.